Now, there are those who have worked with Mr. Tata very, very closely, know multiple facets of his personality, and then there are those who never got a chance actually to meet this great man, the giant of the industry, but were influenced by him ever since they were little children. We're today joined by two such gentlemen. We have celebrity chef Sanjeev Kapoor and author Mukund Rajan joining us on the broadcast. Thank you very much for giving us your time. My first question is to you, Sanjeev Kapoor. The entire nation is mourning the demise of the giant of the industry, the giant with the gentlest soul and heart. And everybody in their own way is paying their tributes to him, celebrating his immense compassion. How would you view what has happened to the nation, the manner in which he changed the nation with his vision? And for you personally, can you describe this loss in words?
I think it's a very sad day for India, and it's a big loss because it's a loss which is irreparable. I think in India there is as a country level, growing up, the only thing that has troubled me is that we have a trust deficit in this country in eyes of the world, and there are very few people who have been able to add trust to a country like India, and one such person is no longer with us. So that trust deficit is something that bothers me. It bothers India as a country. And personally, I can say that I have always, I didn't meet him too often, but I can say that I always treat him like a father figure, because the learnings that I have had in my life, my career, I have always tried to do things the way he would do. I've learned simplicity from him. I have learned compassion from him. I have learned values from him, importance of values, importance of trust from him, and his ability to see beyond his vision. So for me, it's a great loss.
Mr. Rajan, I'm sure it's equally big and a personal loss to you as well. And also, Ratan Tata's passing marks the end of a remarkable era in Indian business, in the world of corporate. How would you describe him as, you know, a unique individual, or qualities that set him apart, the true essence of him as a corporate leader and also an individual?
I think as a leader, he really injected a level of ambition and dynamism in corporate India, the Tata Group, which in the process also elevated India's own stature in the Committee of Nations. And as an individual, I think he was somebody who was really a role model for corporate leaders. In today's day and age, when you hear about toxic work cultures, he was somebody who was so different from your conventional archetype of a corporate leader. He was very down to earth, very personable. He treated people in Bombay House, from the driver to the peon to the liftman, the same way, with the same dignity and grace as you would deal with corporate peers. So really somebody who stood for doing business ethically and the right way, and somebody who stood for a business philosophy of giving back to society, which is very unusual. And yet the success of Tata and the brand and the respect in which it's held around the world suggests that that is really the right way to do business. So he was really a role model not just for India, but indeed for corporates all around the world.
Absolutely. And that's the reason why perhaps he commands the kind of respect that he does. And that's why you see people from all walks of life actually, you know, left teary-eyed and paying glowing tributes to Ratan Tata. Could you share with us the impact that he left on you, given the fact that you had the opportunity to work very closely as an executive assistant first and then as a principal staff officer from 1996 to 2008, Mr. Rajan?
Yeah, I think, you know, when I joined him, I remember the question I asked him. I said, Mr. Tata, I don't have an MBA. Is that going to be a problem? And he replied to me saying, look, Mukund, in the corporate world to succeed, all you need is good common sense. One of his famous quotes to people in the Tata Group companies was always question the unquestioned. So never take anything for granted. If somebody says no, try and find out why. If somebody says it can't be done, try and prove them wrong. So I think that really rubbed off, the sense that, look, anything is possible. Anything is possible for India, for Indians, with our talent, with hard work. There is nothing that we cannot achieve. And I think he showed it and proved it with the work that Tata companies did. And really that had an enormous impact on me. As I said, the level of ambition that he injected in Tatas is something that will continue to inspire generations to come.
Absolutely. And I think he has influenced and touched several lives and peoples of various generations just by the way he lived his life. Mr. Kapoor, you also mentioned that you started admiring Ratan Tata when you were only a child. Can you share a specific memory or moment from your early years that solidified your trust in him?
So, my father used to work with a bank, and he would invest in shares. And as a child, he would share that when you grow up, if you're buying shares by Tatas, maybe the returns are not as much, but they're good people. And that's something that was always there in back of my mind. And then I realized as I started to grow up that what he meant back then. And my first I would say memory of Mr. Ratan Tata was when I had started my TV show. I had started to become popular, and I was grappling with all this. I would say that I was unsure of what was happening, how to deal with my my fame. I was getting confused. There were too many people telling me things that were taking me in different directions, that how to deal with fame. Nobody in our family, neighborhood, or myself, I didn't know what was happening. And somebody would tell me, oh, you cannot do this, dress like this, drive like this, buy this car, and all of that. And then, just by sheer chance, I saw him sitting on a bench at US Club in Mumbai, and I saw him from a distance. He was playing with a dog. I'm not sure whether it was his own, and there was nobody around him. There was no security guards. There was, and he was by then the chairman of Tata Group, and I could see him relaxed. I could see him that he was in control. And there was no fuss around him, and I thought to myself that here is a man who has achieved so much. He is at the pinnacle of his career in some sense, and how is he dealing with it? Actually, that simplicity, that humility, that ease is something which made me calm that very moment. And I said, why was I thinking so much? Why was I overthinking all these months? And suddenly everything became easy for me, and it has stayed like that. And over the years, there are so many other things that I saw. The way he would give not only in vision but follow that into detail, and in terms of compassion, I have seen it first hand during COVID through Tata Trust, because we decided to feed medical fraternity at that time in different hospitals in different parts of India, and I'm talking not hundreds, I'm talking thousands of people. And it was in partnership with Taj Group of Hotels, where my dear friend Puneet Chhatwal said instant yes, and on back of that, I think he had the comfort and confidence of Mr. Tata,
right.
Tata Trust, and sure enough, there was never a no, and we kept on increasing numbers, and till this date, no matter which city I go to, there is always a nurse or a person in some hospital who would come to me, and with folded hands they would thank me. And actually I know it's maybe I just started it, but it was Tata Trust who made it possible. And I know that recently I did one film for Tata Memorial Hospital, and it was for breast cancer awareness. And very promptly Mr. Ratan Tata shared that video on his Instagram with his huge following, and the number of messages that I got, that oh my God, he's shared that, and I just couldn't do anything but thank him for making sure that the message reaches millions of people. And so that's something I would say that I have learned so much, and many firsts have been thanks to Tatas, and the only Tata that in my life, if I put face to a Tata, it's always been Mr. Ratan Tata.
You know, the instant takeaway is that you don't have to be loud about your opinions and your suggestions. You can silently do all of that just by practicing that in your own life. And that's exactly what I believe Mr. Tata did. Mr. Rajan, in an opinion piece, you shared how Ratan Tata's top priority when you joined his office was to successfully launch India's first indigenous passenger car, the Tata Indica. Could you share some anecdotes from those times?
Well, he realized that, to launch a passenger car, you need to have a very strong ecosystem. People often forget that he pioneered the creation of a company called Tata Auto Components. And he, in fact, addressed ACMA, the Association of Component Manufacturers, to urge them to really ensure that the component manufacturers ecosystem also scaled up to ensure that India could produce its first indigenous passenger car. So the vision that he had was something that was extraordinary. People said it can't be done, that how can you create a passenger car company in India? All these global majors from Daewoo to Hyundai to Ford to Mercedes-Benz, they will swallow you alive. And he, as I said earlier, questioned the unquestioned. He said, why? We can do it. And he eventually did it. And I think the kind of outpouring of nationalism, of exuberance, of excitement when the Indica was unveiled at the Auto Expo, and then the fact that it gained 110,000 bookings within a couple of weeks, the highest ever bookings for an Indian car in history at that time, I think was a testament to the fact that common people bought into that vision. They wanted him to succeed simply because he had set his ambition so high. The last thing I'll say about the Indica project, my predecessor in his office, Rajiv Dubey, who was then in his 30s, was the person appointed to head sales and marketing for the new car. He became the youngest general manager in Tata Motors. And that's part of Ratan Tata's view of people. If he thought you had talent, if he thought you had capability, it didn't matter how old or young you were, he was quite happy to back you. And more often than not, it was young people that he backed. And I think I was one of the privileged ones who was fortunate to receive that kind of support from him.
But there are many sides to Mr. Tata that people don't know about. Not just witty, but he was also humorous. He had a great sense of humor. And you shared a story about Ratan Tata's light-hearted side, Mr. Rajan, such as his doodles, caricatures during board meetings. Could you share more anecdotes that highlight this sense of humor and his ability to connect with people on a personal level?
Yeah. No, he was somebody who was extremely human and had sometimes a wicked sense of humor. So I remember one occasion when in the boardroom at Tata Sons, he spotted his elderly and venerable fellow director Jamshed Baba, brother of Homi Baba, by the way, slipping off his shoes during the board meeting under the board table. And quietly, the chairman started pushing those shoes away to the far corner of the room without Mr. Baba noticing. And of course, when the board meeting ended and all the senior directors started trooping out, Mr. Baba was left without any shoes and looking extremely bewildered about what had happened. And Mr. Tata obviously had shared the joke with the other directors. They all had a very friendly and hearty laugh at Mr. Baba's predicament. On another occasion, Mr. Tata was actually threatening to place a very real-looking plastic snake in the chair of one of his senior director colleagues. And I had to sort of tell him that, the old man might actually get a heart attack. Please don't do this. So he had a wicked sense of humor, but he was somebody who was at heart really a very friendly, decent, fun-loving person. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the pressure in Tata's eventually made him appear in public much more serious. But frankly, just a good human being.
Well, steel, resolve, humility, like you said, a great sense of humor, a wicked sense of humor, according to you, the fact they were extremely witty. I think what makes him a great man was the fact that his heart was in the right place. Sanjeev Kapoor and Mr. Mukund Rajan, thank you very much. Thank you for sharing your experience with Ratan Tata and helping us understand more about this great man that our country has lost.